Thanks for stopping by, guys, and welcome back to Scrap Mechanic. Today we're going to be looking at these. These are, well, I would describe them as laser sights. These are a bit of a prototype I've been messing around with, and I kind of wanted to show some of the progress and some of the ideas here. Now then, I had worked with something like this a while back, but I was using it for a completely different purpose, more an aesthetic thing rather than a practical sighting system. It was actually Valian, who I did a battle with recently, who really showed me how well these can work with tanks. So, here are a few different of the patterns that I've been messing with. Currently, this one here with the red light is the pattern I'm using on my Naga, which is right over there. And we're going to look at how some of these work and how they're built, and some of the sighting systems and how they look on target. So the first one here is a light, let's see what part that is, a staircase railing joint, and a logic block. Now the staircase railing is simply to get the beam a bit cleaner. It's not really necessary, but I would recommend it. And this produces a nice little dot. Now you will notice this is down and to the left a bit, so if you are attaching it to a tank, keep that in mind. However, this sight actually works perfectly for my tanks, especially the Naga, because the round actually leaves the barrel just to the bottom right of where the sight system is. And the next one is this, which is what's currently being used. Now this uses a piece of toilet paper to give me a nice round image, and I'm actually rotating the cup on a bearing and using the handle to give myself a sight. Now you can actually adjust that sight left or right by adjusting the controller. So if you do have a bit of a angle to where your rounds actually hit compared to the barrel, you can kind of tune that in a little bit. And that's actually kind of why I'm using it, is because it doesn't have that adjustability. As well as, when compared to this sight, it's easier to tell when you're getting nearer to the target with a larger sight. You still get the accuracy due to the stem there, but other than that, you do get a much quicker on target time with the larger circle. So turn those off. And the next one is a nice little crosshair. You will notice that the circle is much smaller than the one before. And that's simply because the toilet paper here is longer and farther away. And then we're just using some I-beams to create the cross. And the last one is the same thing, a bunch of toilet paper. But this time we have put a bolt on the end of the barrel to give us this sight picture. It's a slightly larger than the first one because we're using less toilet paper again, but it's not as large as this one. These are just a couple of the different ideas I've been messing with. Like I said, personally, this is my favorite. Now then, another thing we do want to talk about is color. You will have noticed this is green, red, white, and yellow. And so far through my testing, my personal preference is the green. I'll explain what's going on here in a second. But my personal preference is the green one here, simply because green shows up really well, surprisingly. While red may look better in theory, it's green that shows up on targets easier, and it's easier to understand where your sights are aimed. Now then, what was happening there is, well, if you have more than 5 lights, or I should say, on your 5th light, the dynamic lighting kind of bugs. And because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 already turned on, when I turn on this one, that makes it 5th, and they kind of start freaking out like you see here. And it tries to prioritize which ones are more important, but you end up getting a bit of a strobe effect. Now I can't turn that one off, but if I were to turn these on, the same thing will happen because we cross that threshold of 5 lights. So be careful. And also, if you've noticed on any of your creations that you're trying to use dynamic lights on and they start freaking out, it's probably because you have more than 5 lights. Alright, so we've kind of looked at some of the patterns you can create, some of the colors, some of the issues. Let's kind of look at what it'll look like on an actual tank in use. Now these do have a limited range. You will notice as we back up, there's a point where the light just completely stops working. And about here is where I'd say it's defined enough to use on target. We can kind of see it off in the distance. So this is very much a close to medium range sight. You're not going to be shooting long range targets with it, which isn't a major issue because with this style of setup, the farther away you get, the more inaccurate the sight becomes just because of how just basic, or I should say generic, that little post, that front post is. So if we aim up on target, if we fire, the round should hit just above the post. So if I want to hit the little commander's cupola, I can shoot right about there. And I have one more round. So I want to shoot right there, that back tire, and right into the engine bay. So it is a very effective sight and will probably be used on many of my tanks going forward just because of how nice it is. But as you can see, this style, like the red one there, you do have to have a cup at the end of your barrel. It does need to be on a bearing, and you do need this setup, which is also kind of why I do enjoy the Logic block one a little bit better, because it is a bit more compact. Now, one thing real quick, because I forgot to mention it with the Logic block, if you do want that little dot sight, you do need to make sure the Logic block is facing down the barrel with the AND gate or whatever gate you're using pointed down the barrel, because that way there's a small hole right there in the middle of the Logic block that lets the light pass through. So this one was a bit of a quick one. Just wanted to show off a bit of a concept and talk about some of the different variations I've been messing with, as well as the different colors I've been messing with. So if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, give me suggestions, leave in the comments down below. Enjoy the channel, enjoy what I'm doing. Please subscribe, it helps out a lot. And right now, shares help the channel the most. So if you do want to help the channel, please share this episode with a friend. Thanks for stopping. Oh, I almost forgot. I do want to also thank Captain Bob and Black Kitten for being members over on the channel and supporting me in that way. Thanks for stopping by, thanks for sticking around, and until next time, peace.